It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
This next question is from Wasabi is Spicy. I would agree with that.
Cleans out the nasal cavity.
Love it. So
Quit, Nate. I got Nate.
So we have a rollover IRA and recently opened up a Roth. We have an excellent opportunity that may put us over the Roth income eligibility. What can I do to continue to contribute to Roth? So it sounds like Wasabi recognizes Roth is really, really valuable. However, by good fortune, hard work, they're going to be in a position where they make too much money to be able to just contribute directly to a Roth IRA. And so the question is, do I have other options? Are there other ways I can build Roth? And the answer is, in most circumstances, yes. One of the easiest, lowest lying places to go look to see if you can build Roth assets, if you're above the Roth income eligibility threshold, is in your 401k. If you have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan, you ought to see, is there a Roth option available inside that? However, just because there's an option doesn't mean that you should do it, because if you're at the income level where you're above the Roth IRA threshold, there's a chance that that pre-tax 401k deduction that you would get from putting your money in could be really, really valuable, and it's not something that you want to walk away from. But I'd say that's probably the lowest line. If you can't do Roth IRA, you should look to see if you have the opportunity to do Roth 401k.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does get to a point where you get kind of frustrated if you're in that 35 and greater percent federal rate, marginal rate, and then you add in a 5 to 6% state rate on top of there. Some states is even as high as 10%. You quickly be like, wow, close to half my money is going to taxes. Yep. So that's when you'll quickly realize you want to go the traditional route of lowering your taxes to avoid that, because you're on the hope that when you retire, when you can control how you're pulling your money out of these retirement accounts, you might be able to legally manipulate this to be in a lower tax bracket. That's what the hope is. But Bo's alluding to, in that type of situation where you're using traditional on the 401k or 403b, if all your money's in qualified assets, and that's those 401ks, 403bs, 457s, you don't have any rollover IRAs, any SEP IRAs, any simple IRAs, you might qualify for that unique strategy of doing Roth conversions, also known as the backdoor Roth contributions, where you can fund a traditional IRA. It's not going to be deductible, so that you'll have full basis for whatever your contribution is, and then you can convert that into a Roth IRA, because remember, in 2010 they lifted off any income limits on doing Roth conversions, and it's a clean process as long as you don't have any other IRA assets. Now, inherited IRAs don't work against you either, so I don't want to make sure I keep that clear, but that's where people screw up. Is I see people do Roth conversions, but they're sitting there with a rollover IRA, they're sitting there with a simple IRA or a SEP IRA. That's a tax nightmare. But if you are clean in the fact that you have only qualified assets or inherited assets, you can contribute to that traditional IRA, convert it to a Roth, and have access to tax-free growth.
Yeah, and then the third option. So first option's Roth 401k. Second option is a tax-free Roth conversion, where if you don't have any other IRA balances. And then you do have a third option where you could just do taxable Roth conversions. If you're trying to figure out, how do I generate more Roth dollars? You could just convert some of your pre-tax IRA money. Again, you have to kind of play the tax game to see, okay, what would my tax cost be to do that? Or might there be another more advanced strategy for me to somehow figure out how to do that tax-free Roth conversion strategy? But it's a good these are fun problems to try to solve, because generally speaking, it's a good thing when your income is above the Roth income threshold. You've done some things well, and the fact that you're thinking about this kind of stuff, how do you still build Roth assets, shows that you are indeed a financial mutant.